Thank you so much for joining us. This is Tips for the Transition, the Career Roadmap. I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan, and I created this show now 6 seasons ago to share resources that help women navigate career and life challenges and to know that they are not alone. Each week, my guest and I co create a show to inspire women to become more confident, resilient, and brave in their careers and in their lives. So, if you're inspired by something you hear today and you want more information, check out the show notes below so that you can connect with my guest and me. So, let me ask you a question. Are you ready to find success in your career or your life? My guest, Ruth Klein, has the tools and strategies to help you. In her book, Generation Why Not, I love the name of that book. Let me repeat it. Generation Why Not. Ruth shares insights from interviews with a diverse community of successful people, from CEOs to octogenarians who have embraced new possibilities to reach their goals. Through their stories, Ruth shows us that success is not just about following a set path or someone else's path, but about taking risks and developing a growth mindset. It's about adopting effective strategies for goal setting or entrepreneurship, if that's the way you want to go, or coaching or personal development or branding. As a successful author and coach with over 30 years of experience, Ruth has helped high achieving professionals create 360-degree brands, convert their expertise into rewarding businesses, and to write best selling books. And I can't wait to talk with her about unlocking the secrets of success. And it's not what you think. So, hello, Ruth. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello. Great to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. Now, let's just start by pulling back the curtain a little bit and getting to know a little bit more about you. Would you share with us a bit of your background and, most importantly, why are you so passionate about sharing the secrets of success?
So I started, I was going to go into psychology years and years ago. I was going to become a psychologist. And as I was going to grad school, and I thought, wow, this is just, there's too much going on. There's no consistency from a therapist to the next therapist. It's just a little crazy. So, and I have a lot of energy, and I decided to do what I call preventative types of mindset learning, and then from there what happened is that so much of the preventative part that I talk about is really about mindset. It's about leadership. And as a young person, I remember how hungry I was to learn more and more about myself, and calling that personal development. And then I realized that from that personal development, there's also the business development. And over the years, I have realized that there are two paths. There is the what I call the mindset path, and there's also the business skill path. And both of those have to be consistent and running in alignment before someone can really pop into who they are and into success. If your mindset is ahead of your skill set, you're going to be frustrated because you're going to think, I know I can do this, but what's the deal here? And if your skill set is ahead of your mindset, you're just not caught up yet into the possibility of what is available for you out there. And so that is a big piece as to why I do what I do.
Yeah, I love that. I love the way you put that. Two paths, mindset and skill set. And if one is ahead of the other, or maybe one is non-existent, there is there you don't have the complete picture, do you?
That's right. That's right. And that's where the frustration lies. That's where the frustration lies. So if someone, a couple of reasons, but if someone is not where they want to be, if they're not as successful, whatever that might be for them, a great place to start, is your skill set in alignment with your mindset?
Right.
And that's one of the best places to start. And if it's not, then it behooves you, it's your responsibility to do what's necessary to pick up that mindset. And I will tell you, most people could benefit from learning new mindset leadership skills, because at the end of the day, and the generation why not, I found that out to be so huge. It's how we lead ourselves, how we lead ourselves into decision making, how we lead ourselves into moving forward, how we lead ourselves out of frustration, and when we get a door. So much of that is really the mindset leadership. And the interesting thing about that is that as you go up the success scale, your mindset leadership must keep up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an ever evolving thing, isn't it?
It's an ever evolving thing. And that's exactly right. It's what I like to say, it's like a book. It's a living entity.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about your book, this book whose title I absolutely adore, Generation Why Not. I would love to first ask you, what does that title even mean?
Mm-hmm.
And follow that with what prompted you to write it?
Okay. So, Generation Why Not. In today's world, the old ways that we looked at generations, and we still use the words baby boomer, millennials, Generation Z. It has a purpose, but the purpose is diminishing. It's absolutely diminishing. And in order to really understand what's going on, you've got to understand the psychographics, not just the demographics of someone, because the decisions are made from the psychographics. In other words, people's hobbies. Where are they in their, let's say they're in their late 40s, mid 40s, or Generation X, maybe even into early baby boomer. Where are they in their lives? Did they have children? Are the children out of the house? Did they work in corporate America? Did they start their own business? Did they work in corporate America? Now they're starting their own. Where are they? And what are their needs? What are their values? And so it's a generation that scans anywhere from 20 to 80s. And it's really a psychographic generation. This generation they have so much in common. When something happens that they run against a wall, they know that is just feedback. It's not failure. It's feedback. So they start looking elsewhere. This group, this generation is open to possibility. Whether they're 35 and let's say they train to be an attorney, and they don't want to be an attorney anymore, and now they want to go into sculpting, they're able to make that transition because they know the possibilities are huge. Or they're changing careers for the second, third, or even fourth time. The people that have gone into early retirement, they may have enough money that they want. They've gone into early retirement, and then it's like, now what? And they start a new business or two. John Welch from General Electric started something after he ended that, and he was, I don't know, was he in his 60s or 70s when he did that? That's Generation Why Not. And so I started to think, why is it that some people get to a very high level in their careers and life, and then they lose everything? And then some come back even bigger and better, and some never come back. Or some people are moving along and they're not really thrilled with the way life is. And some make changes, which would be the Generation Why Not group. And some just continue to just follow and pretty much be unhappy for the most part. What is that? And so I wanted to find out, was it age? Was it money? Was it circumstances? And what I found is that in every situation, person that I interviewed, it was attitude. Attitude made the difference. And I interviewed the real Jerry Maguire, Lee Steinberg, wonderful, wonderful man. And of course, in that movie, and in real life, he was a very successful sports agent. And then life happened, and then he lost it all. And things didn't look good. And he came back. And now he's still in the sports world. He's even more successful, wildly successful, wonderful, wonderful man. What is that? It was his attitude. At one point, at some point, when he was down and out, something clicked. And it was an attitude. It wasn't money. Certainly wasn't circumstances, because he was in the worst of circumstances. Wasn't whatever, a little rural area. No, it wasn't any of that. I interviewed octogenarian, an 84-year-old who wrote 4 books in as many years and was so excited about going out and speaking on the books. And he had been a very successful multi-million-dollar roundtable insurance agent. And he wrote a book called Don't Die. And that was his personality. And he had the money, and he retired young. He golfed every day. And then at some point he thought, oh my God, is this all there is? Now, some people may love to golf. That's beautiful. But in this case, he got tired about it. He wanted to do more. They had to be more. So he started to go to seminars, and he started learning how to write a book. That's how I met him. And he learned how to promote a book and give speeches. I interviewed 2 autistic young men. One was 17 at the time, and he always wanted to be an actor, just always wanted to be an actor. And since he was a little kid, and soon to find out that he had a contract for a TV show for several $million. I interviewed a severely autistic young man who was 21 at the time, and he does not speak, and yet he does have the writing machine where he can write with his mouth. And he has gone on to give speeches at the United Nations. He has a job. What is that? What is that? I interviewed a gal who was in her 30s at the time, early 30s at the time, and she had a very successful online business with her husband, and then her best girlfriend ended up with her husband. They divorced. She ended up having to go out of state, being with family, and she came back. And now she has another online business that is far more successful than the other one was. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. And what is that? What is that? That's Generation Why Not. Opening up to new possibility, knowing that there's more for you, knowing that anytime you get a no, instead of going into a rabbit hole, you might go, whoa, that really stinks. And then you turn it around and you go, you know what? This is feedback. Let me use this feedback to charge ahead, to go a different, it's like a Maze. In so many ways, life and business is like a maze. You stop, you don't just sit there and wait till someone finds you. You'll starve to death. You keep looking for the openings. It's just feedback that, look, that's a dead end. Okay, let's try again.
Yep. Yep. I love that you have drawn the generations together in this. It doesn't really, you said it doesn't matter the age in this case. And we teased a little bit about the secret of success today, and that it's not what most people think. So based on what you've just shared with us, it's not age, it's not money, it is attitude. Is that right?
Absolutely, 100%. 100%. When I see someone, it's interesting. I just watched the documentary on Michael Jordan and how his mother pretty much led him into, he had his natural talent, don't get me wrong, but she did the attitude piece. She did the gratitude piece. And and many athletes thank their moms. And when you listen to what they thank their moms for, it's all about attitude. It's about supporting them, keeping going. You can do this. Make sure
Right.
as you get successful and you climb the success route, you still are humble. You give back. You do charity, all of which he does. All of which he does.
Yeah.
And so it's remarkable.
So I'm sure you've identified many core principles for success through your own experience and the interviews you've done for your book. But is there one that, aside from attitude, is there one that you think is essential? It is, like at the top of that list.
There's two. Yes,
Okay.
that's all I can. Okay. One is leadership, your self leadership. And self leadership is how you see yourself, how you go through the day. And the second one, which is a cousin, they're corollaries, is time boundaries. Having the leadership to keep your time boundaries. Because here's the deal: people don't mean to step on your time, but they will if you allow them to. And so, one of the big parts of success is not feeling cramped, is not feeling overwhelmed. That is a procrastinator's dream, is to feel overwhelmed. You don't have to feel overwhelmed. I'm going to share with you how to get out of overwhelm in 60 seconds. And that is, do one action. Take one action in the right direction. That's it. That'll pull you out of overwhelm. It'll get you refocused on what you need to do. It'll start to add momentum. And then you do the second thing. I don't care how small it is. It might be make a call. It might be send an email. But get out of that energetic obsession of overwhelm, because that requires you to self-lead out of that chaos. You've got to be able to self-lead out of internal chaos as well as external chaos, for that matter. And the other is time boundaries, and that is knowing what your biorhythms are. Most people have high energy in the morning, but let's say you have high energy late afternoon. Well, your day is going to look different, or it should look differently. For those of you who love meetings, do not have meetings first thing in the morning. That is one of the fastest ways to have your people lose steam and energy and direction. Why? Because most people have high energy in the morning. So I guard my mornings. I don't see clients in the morning. I don't set up calls, chats in the morning. That is my time to start the day slowly, focused, and I plan. Every morning I journal/plan. And in that process of drinking my delicious coffee and journaling, my day starts to form. Now, I already know pretty much what my day looks like, but stuff happens. Um, all of a sudden, something comes down the pipe that I need to address. I don't get overwhelmed. I don't get into a frenzy because I have that space. I have that open space to get work done. I write books. I help people write books. I help them with their branding, with monetizing their books and their brand. I have to be able to have a clear head in creating what I'm going to share with my clients. I do that in the mornings, and I keep my mornings until noon free. And then from noon till about 4:30 is when I see my clients and I do everything else. Um, I need space. We all need space away from our business. I don't work evenings. Very rarely will I work an evening unless I'm giving a speech. So where does your day end? Or does your work day go all day through? If it does, you're not giving your mind a chance to rest. You're not working with your subconscious to help you come up with creative ways to run your business, to help your clients, to self-lead. You need open space. You need it on your calendar and you need it in your head.
I love that. That's a golden nugget that everyone should take to heart. Uh, I'm like you. My mornings are precious to me. Not everyone is like us. So taking the time to, at whatever point of the day is the right time for you, is what Ruth is talking about here.
Mhm, mhm.
So that you guard that energy that is not in unlimited supply,
Right.
so that you can focus on the things that are most important to move yourself forward in in your corporate job or in your leadership, in your business, whatever that is for you.
Right, right.
I love
It's a
that.
matter of knowing, it's a matter of knowing when your energy kicks in and being
Yeah.
able to utilize that. Not sitting in meetings,
Yeah,
not
'cause those
yeah,
are big energy drains.
they are. They really, really are. They really are. Yeah.
And not everyone listening, I can hear it, having been in corporate for 30 years. I can hear a lot of people going, "Oh yeah, tell my leader
Right.
that. My leadership team believe in back-to-back meetings all day long. Tell them that."
Mhm.
But I think it's up to us to set our own boundaries and try to, and by our own example, we can teach others what
Right.
works better.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I've worked with many, many C-level in corporations, and the number one thing I share with them is let's get rid of morning meetings and let's make the meetings 20 minutes. If there can be a TED talk in 20 minutes and get a lot out there, you can have a meeting in 20 minutes. It's not just to sit and to think and no, you go in, you're prepared. And nobody sits, everybody stands. So there are a lot of ways to do that. And these companies have just seen a remarkable change in energy with their employees.
I love that idea. Don't sit, stand.
Mhm,
For 20 minutes, you can.
mhm.
For a 60-minute meeting or a 90-minute meeting, maybe not so easily, right? But for a 20-minute meeting, if you're focused, if you know what your objective is for that
Mhm.
meeting,
That's right.
and there really needs to be one, right? Or
That's
why
right.
else are you meeting?
Right. And my question always is why 60 minutes? Unless it's brainstorming,
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Yep.
But very, very little more than that can I see 60 minutes. That's a long
A
chunk.
long time.
It's a long chunk.
And so often, in corporate, those meetings are often back to back, right? And so it's a 60-minute meeting followed by a 60-minute meeting, followed by a 60-minute meeting. And now a big chunk of your day has been lost. You probably walked out with a lot of to-dos from those meetings, right? So now you're feeling more overwhelmed. So I'm so glad we're talking about this, because the leaders in our corporate environment these days really need to hear what is not an energy drain, a better approach, right?
Right. And it's like anything else. It's, you can't take away this without giving them this.
Right.
And I'm very conscious of that. I'm
Yeah, of
so
course.
conscious of that. And so I'll go in and I'll go, okay, what's the purpose of this meeting? What's the purpose of that meeting? They've got meetings all. What's the purpose? What's the purpose?
Right.
What's the purpose? What's the purpose? And many times they'll go, well, we want to get together and then it'll come up. No.
Yeah. Yeah. And making people conscious of that, just asking that simple question.
It's just
right?
That's exactly. It's just a matter
Raising the awareness that there are
raising
so
awareness.
many meetings. I remember
Yeah.
so often those of us who were in attendance to those meetings that were called by someone else, and they were required, right? That's the way they were positioned.
Right.
You got to be there.
Yeah.
You got to be there. And, we felt like we had to be there or we'd miss something, right? Fear of missing out, right? A lot of FOMO going on in corporate America, right?
Yeah.
A lot.
Uh-huh.
And the idea of, transparency and being in the know. If you're not there, what will people think? There's a lot of that.
Right.
But if you get to the leadership level and start thinking about the purpose,
That's right.
why are you doing what you're doing? Why did you call that meeting? Why did you start that project? Right? What's the purpose of it all? Is there a purpose? Or
Right.
are we just making everybody busy?
It's
Making
making everyone
everybody
busy.
overwhelmed?
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting. It can change. It's just a matter, as to your point, it has to be brought to their attention. And here's something else you can do instead.
Yeah.
And here's the deal. You have nothing to lose.
Exactly. I was just thinking the same thing. Try it.
Yeah, I tell my people, try it for 30 days. You have nothing to lose. You have everything to gain.
Right. And to borrow the second half of the title of your book, why not?
Exactly. That's exactly.
Why not try it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's so many people in corporate who think, well, that's the way we've always done things, right? And that's the difference that you have so clearly demonstrated to us about the generation why not folks are not those people who think because we've always done it this way, we will continue to do it this way.
Yes.
You never know if something, I had this conversation with a member of my team yesterday. Well, it's working. That's what I heard. It's working. Yeah, but we don't know that something else might work as well or better unless we test it.
That's exactly right.
It.
Yeah, that's right. And the thing is, why not? I mean, ever since I was a little girl, someone would say something and I'd say, well, try it. I mean, and then, no, I don't want to, but why not? I mean, I could never understand why not.
Yeah.
And so, yes, it requires the leader to be open to to a new way, to a different way,
Yeah.
to a different possibility. That's where real growth comes in. And I'll tell you, corporate is looking, what are they looking for now? They're looking for creativity. Why are
Yep.
they looking for creativity? Because this generation, why not? They're creative coming out of the wazoo. Out of the wazoo. And what makes creativity is being open, not looking through a tunnel vision, but just really going out there, not saying it's going to work, it's not going to work, without any limiters. Just
Yep.
brainstorm. No
Yeah.
limiters. None of this. Just
And you know that culture
Mhm.
has to start at the top in
Yes.
order for, or it has to be, it has to be embraced at the top in order
Yes.
for that to work. So I can remember lots of circumstances when I was in corporate and on leadership teams in corporate, but the higher level leadership were not open to new ideas, to new collaborations, to and it's very frustrating.
You,
So I love that your book is opening a new conversation
Mhm.
about how it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter in which generation, a societal generation
Mhm.
you sit. You can be a member of generation, why not, regardless of your age, and it matters only your attitude,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And here, as you're talking, Maria, I'm thinking, is someone really a leader if they're not open? Is that really a leadership? Is that really a leader?
That's a great question.
And isn't one of the finest leadership quality, one of the finest leadership qualities is to be open to hear a different voice, to hear a different pathway, not necessarily to accept it, but to at
Right.
least open it up with curiosity instead of judgment, with curiosity instead of shame, with curiosity instead of we've always done it this way.
Yeah.
Isn't that what a true leader does?
I believe you're right. I believe you're right. All right. So, in your book, I know that you researched a lot about and studied the generations as we know them, most of us, right? Can you tell us in your education, which ones of those generations have the most similarities, and maybe which ones have the most contentious relationships?
Really good point. So, this is often thought of with moms and their daughters.
Mm,
And so many times we're so similar, and so we do this. Or
yeah.
dads and their sons.
Yep.
Or even workers, no matter what the age, and their bosses. And so what I have found experientially and academically and through research is that the baby boomers and the millennials are very, very similar. And in business, especially corporate, they do this. Millennials will go, oh, baby boomer, just retire already. It's the old way of doing stuff. Do, 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 do. And the baby boomer will many times say, oh, you're just not grateful. You just feel so entitled. And yet, the basics of each of those age groups, if you will, cultural age groups, are very similar in that, for example, the baby boomers were the first generation to ask questions of authority. They were the first generation to rebel against authority. They were the first generation to want to know what kind of ingredients are going into this. They were the first generation to think, oh my gosh, what are we doing to the environment? Now, doesn't that all sound what the millennial is looking for as well? Isn't that the millennial as well? They're questioning authority. They want you to be honest. When I think of the baby boomers, it was such a breakthrough to be authentic and to be honest and to look at corporate America and start asking a lot of questions. And the same thing is happening with millennials. And so the most important thing amongst all the societal, cultural age groups is that we listen. What I like to say, we listen with heart-centered eyes.
Mhm.
We listen with curiosity. We listen because we think, I'm going to learn something. I may not like it. I may not apply it, but I'm going to learn something because every single age group has so much to offer if and only if we're not judgmental towards them. And so the baby boomers just need to be listening to the millennials. And if you listen enough, not even that long, you'll go, oh my gosh, that's how I felt. That's how I felt at their age. That's what we were trying to do. It was a movement. And the millennial person, if they open up and listen with heart-centered eyes, they're going to see the baby. Wow, you started this. You started all this that many years ago. And here
Yeah.
we are still.
I love that you brought this up because it is the circle of life, isn't it?
Mhm.
That someone blazes the trail,
Mm-hmm.
and if we only were open to have these conversations, as you say, with curiosity, without judgment, with kindness, and to embrace the idea on both sides,
On
right?
both sides.
On both sides, that there's something to learn from the wisdom of the trailblazer and from the new eyes, the fresh eyes
Correct.
of the younger generation.
Yes. Yes.
There is
Absolutely.
there's so much
There's
that,
so much, and it's beautiful. I tell you, I have so many millennial friends, and Generation Xers, right after the baby boomers. I'll be talking to millennials or Xers, and they often say, Ruth, I could just listen to you talk. Why? Because we're both open. We're both open and we're listening with curiosity. They can tell I'm interested in them.
yeah,
They can tell, they can feel it.
yeah.
And as a result, they're interested in what I have to say. And it is a beautiful, beautiful exchange. And I have learned so much as they have.
Which is what opens or blows up, actually, this idea of these cultural generations and that they are so different. And it introduces this concept that we are all could be part of Generation Why Not,
Correct.
when we apply these, pretty human, common sense kinds of communication strategies.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely 100% accurate. I mean, you are on your path to becoming a Generation Why Notter just by staying curious and listening.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter the age. It doesn't matter.
Definitely doesn't matter the age. Um, I was talking to a gal, she just turned 80 and she's now ready to write her book. about her experiences at 80.
God bless her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've been talking with a client of mine who is working on a legacy project. And it's so, I don't know, it fills my heart when I hear about people who want to share their experiences to inform others and leave a legacy of wisdom.
Right. And
That
that's
warms my heart.
that's beautiful. And you know, to take that one step further, Maria, we all have the opportunity to leave a legacy
Hmm.
even at the age of 32.
Yeah.
We survived till whatever. But we are creating our legacy as we live. We create that legacy every time we make an impact in someone's life, by giving a speech, by someone listening to a podcast, that all of a sudden something goes click and turns things around.
Yeah.
Every time we can watch a movie or read a book and we go, wow, that's something I want to start doing. We are creating our own legacy
Yeah.
as long as we stay open and being curious along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. That is so true. I I believe that, and our legacy can change
Yeah.
over time.
Mm-hmm.
As we evolve, so does how we see things, how we show up,
Right.
and who we touch. And if we can touch someone, it's one of the things I have said every year. I ask myself, do I still want to do this show? Do I still want to do it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Do I still want to do it? But because there's a possibility that one person listening could say, you know what, I never thought of it that way.
Right.
That
Right.
helps me.
Yeah.
Then it's
Yes,
worth
it's
it.
all worth it. You know,
It's so
it's
worth it.
interesting. That's how I feel about books.
Yeah.
That's how powerful books are. If you ask anyone, what is the book that really made a difference in your life? Everybody has at least
Yeah.
one book.
Yeah.
And talk about legacy.
Yeah.
Talk about making a difference.
Yeah.
Talk about, oh goodness. Yeah. And it's so powerful what you're saying. So powerful.
I'm going to ask you a question as we wrap this up. I would love to know if you, let's just pretend you're back in your early career. If you knew then what you know now, would you have changed anything?
Would I have changed anything? That's a heavy duty question. Um, there's actually not that I can think of at this moment,
Okay.
because everything that I experienced got me here. But
Mm-hmm.
the one thing that I would have let go of is self-doubt.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah. That just hit me in the heart.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
If we released that,
mm-hmm.
oh boy, we could have gone miles further
Yes, absolutely.
sooner. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We
Yeah.
could have done it sooner and with less fatigue,
Angst,
angst,
anxiety.
anxiety,
Yeah. Yeah.
expense.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, that
Love that.
self-doubt is just an eater upper.
Yeah, it's an eater. I love that. It's an eater upper. Right. It's another one of those energy drains.
In a big, big way, in a big
Yeah.
way. And the reason for that is, no matter how successful you are, if you bring that self-doubt, you bring it along the way. And how, you show up in one part of your life is how you show up in all parts of your life. And so if
Right.
you have that self-doubt piece, which I did, I brought it everywhere. It came with me. I carried a
Mhm.
bag.
Yeah. 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 It's a burden.
It really is a burden
It's a
until
burden. Yeah.
you get to the point where, hey, you know, let's for me, let's look at all the things that prove differently.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah. Where's the evidence?
Where's the evidence?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Love that. All right. So, Ruth, we end every one of these episodes with my guest sharing their tips and strategies and key takeaways. And I'm not letting you away without doing yours. So, I would love for you to share with us your tips for us. What do you have to leave with us?
Okay, all right. I've got 4. You can tell I'm an overachiever, right? Okay.
Okay.
If you had told me 2, I would have given you 3. It's
I
just
know.
what we
I know.
overachievers
I'll
do.
know for next time, Ruth.
Yes. Uh, and that is stay open to curiosity, no matter who you meet. Who you meet. Take off the judgment glasses. Just take them off and burn them in the sink. They're useless. Trust me, they're useless, and they'll only get you. Um, they're not. You don't want them. That's the first. The second is self leadership. You must be the leader of how you see the world, how you spend your time, how you show up, the speeches that you give, how you give the speeches, learning your craft, learning what you need to in terms of your mindset, and increasing and a different level of mindset, which with every increased level of skill set is essential to really focus on your time boundaries. How much time do you want to work in a day? Working all day doesn't cut it. Working weekends doesn't cut it. You need to have open time in your calendar. You need to have open time in your mind. You have to have open time just in space. So choose wisely and guard your time. Because you cannot make up time. You can make up money, but you can never make up time. And the fourth one is, just because we chatted about this, I'm gonna give you permission to drop the self-doubt right now. And I remember one time I went to someone and they said, Ruth, I don't remember what it was. And they said, do you want to give that up? I said, I sure do. And they said, do you want to see how easy it is to do? I go, yep. And this is what they did. This is the self-doubt. I'm now ready to let it go. That's it. Because self doubt isn't real, it's something that we created. Yep. It's something that we created. So if you go back to self leadership, that self leadership will pull you out of that self doubt, because self doubt is not real.
That is powerful. That's so true. That is so true. We create it in our minds.
Mm-hmm.
We let all that inner self-talk take over,
And
and
we
we let
start
other
having,
people,
yep.
right? Other people's voices,
Mm-hmm.
who are saying, "Who do you think you are?" cause us to ask ourselves, "Yeah, so who do I think I am?" And
Yep.
that self-doubt, it just doesn't serve us at
It doesn't
all,
serve, and
at
it's
all.
not real. It's not real.
It's not real. I love that.
You
It's
know,
not real. Yeah.
it's the
What is
boogeyman
real?
or
So
boogie
the
woman.
next question is, so what is real? What are the skills you have? What are the gifts you have? Right? What are the attributes you possess as a human being?
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah,
Those are real.
those
Those
are
are
real.
real.
Your
And those are
attitude,
how
yes, your attitude is real. It
your
shows up
attitude is real.
every minute of every day. You want proof? Look at your friends, look at your business, look at your checking account, look at everything.
Yeah.
That's your checkpoint.
Yeah. This is a great conversation, Ruth. I knew it would be when I met you.
Same
I
here.
am so, so happy that you joined us here today. And I'm sure that there's going to be more than one nugget that people are going to walk away with today. And I suspect they're going to want to know more from you. So you give us the one best way for someone to get in touch with you and continue this conversation.
Certainly. You can reach me on LinkedIn, Ruth Klein. Klein is Klein. And I would love to have a chat with you. It's fun. It's definitely fun. I would very much welcome that. And also something I'd like to offer free, if I may, Maria, for your listeners, and that is 30 days of free pocket coaching, which means Monday through Friday for 30 days, you get me in your inbox and you get a little audio. And they're little gems of time management, mindset, skill set, book writing, book marketing, branding, all those things that I love to talk about and work with on clients. And it's completely free. We've had excellent response to that, excellent response. So I'd be happy to offer that to your listeners.
I love that. Thank you so much. And
Mhm.
we'll have the link for that in the show notes. That's very
Okay.
generous of you.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you, Ruth. I know that that is a lot of your time and energy and love put into that. So I appreciate it. All right. Thanks again, Ruth. Thank you so much for joining us.
This was fun. Thank you.
All righty. And thank you for everyone who is watching and listening. I really appreciate that you are a part of this community. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, comment, and click a star to let us know if you liked it. And as I said at the top of the show, I love creating and sharing resources for women. Plus, as a career and life coach, I work with women to help them navigate challenging times more quickly and gracefully. So, if something in this episode resonates with you and you'd like a fresh perspective, reach out and let's talk. The links to connect with my guest, Ruth, and me are, as I said, in the show notes below. And I invite you to continue this conversation in the private Facebook group, the Career Transition Roadmap. You can look for the links below as well. And let's meet again here Wednesday, every Wednesday, because I believe it is our time to thrive. So let's thrive together. Until next time, I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan, helping you turn transition into triumph.